Welcome back to the lesson on adjustments. Something I didn't mention on adjustment A for supplies used. It's probably a good idea to show the calculation of that adjustment. We start out with the balance before adjustment of $2,000 in the supplies account. And then at the end of the period, in this case at the end of the first month, we need to do a physical inventory of those supplies on hand. And we find that our balance at the end of the month, our supplies balance at the end of the month is $1,500. And so we subtract that balance from what we started out with at the beginning of the month, and we get $500 of supplies used for the month. And the $500 is our adjustment for supplies used. Now, let's do another couple of examples of adjusting entries. The first three adjusting entries focused on assets that are being used up over time. And so we show the usage of assets via adjusting journal entry as an expense. Now, we can also have other types of adjustments. A common type of adjustment would be for interest expense incurred but not yet recorded. Interest, and this is adjustment G in our textbook. Interest incurred, that means we owe the interest, but not yet recorded. Now, I'm going to use the example in the textbook. It says that Pizza Aroma has not paid or recorded the $100 interest that it owes for this month on its note payable. I don't have the particulars of that note payable, but let's just say that at the end of the month, the company owes $100 of interest on its loan, and that interest has not yet been recorded. Typically, that's going to happen where you have a single payment date for the loan plus interest. The loan may be taken out, let's say, on January 1st, and the entire loan principal plus interest is due on March 31st. So that would be, that would be a 3-month period. Each month, interest expense will accrue on that outstanding loan balance. To make a simple example, let's say our loan principal is $10,000. And let's say our loan term is for 3 months. And so we take out the loan on January 1st, and it is going to be due on March 31st of this year. And so it's a 3-month or a 90-day loan. And let's assume further that the annual percentage rate, the APR, or the interest rate on the loan is 12% per annum. And again, these are numbers that make our calculations a little simpler. So if we're using 12% per annum as an interest rate, our monthly interest will be 12% divided by 12 months, or 1% per month. That makes our calculation a little easier. So in this example, our $10,000 loan will accrue interest, or will incur interest expense at the rate of our monthly interest expense will be $10,000 times 1% or $100. I think it's important to note that the formula for interest is principal times rate times time. And so our principal is $10,000. Our rate is 12%, stated as a decimal 0.12. And our time factor for 1 month is 1/12. And so if we were to do this calculation, $10,000 times 12% times 1/12, we would end up with our, I use the percentage here, this is incorrect, this is $100. Yeah, we would end up with our interest of $100. The reason why it's due or incurred but not yet recorded is because it's a 3-month loan or a 90-day loan, and so we would make the payment at the end of March, and unless we do an adjustment, we're not going to show that $100 of interest is due at the end of the first month. In fact, $100 of interest will also be due at the end of the second month, and at the end of the third month, there would be $300 of interest due, along with the repayment of the principal as well. So how would we record our adjusting entry? Well, we need to show, first of all, that we have incurred interest expense on the loan. And so we need an expense account called interest expense, and we need to show that we owe interest on that loan. And so how do we show an amount owed? Well, we need a liability account, and we would call this liability account interest payable. And so, as you might guess, our adjusting entry for the first month of interest on this loan would be a debit to interest expense and a credit to interest payable. And again, this is for adjustment G in the textbook. Keep in mind, we would make this same adjustment at the end of the second month, and at the end of the third month, we wouldn't have to do an adjustment. We would simply pay the entire amount due, which would be the $10,000 plus 3 months worth of interest at $100 a month. I think that's good for this video clip. I hope this has been helpful. Thank you.